those mechanical signals that we had in there actually get transmitted right over this thing that we're stepping on here. There's actually two metal bars that go through here. You can actually see them there. If you look at it, you can see how it rotates.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So that is your mechanical input.
And that's from what we were controlling up here.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So that goes into this. Truly, the Mark 8 Rangekeeper, built, I want to say like in the 20s, is the central piece of the fire control solution. This is where your solution is computed and set. This is it. So everything's going to feed into that. So
it starts here and it progresses this way?
It'll start here. There will be other parts that'll start from the Mark 48 over there, which was put in around Korea time frame. So it's not original equipment. It goes into this. If you look over here at the Mark 8, you'll notice that it's got things in here like a target of a ship and your own ship. So again, getting back to that original fire control problem, right? We need to know where we're located at and when our target is located at. You'll also notice some indications here around wind direction. So it's important that as the projectile is being shot through the air, that you take into account a couple things: curvature of the earth, because you're talking long things, but also what's called ballistic wind. All right. So if you think about, like Paulie was saying earlier, there is that they would launch weather balloons up. The weather guessers would launch weather balloons up every morning, and we would ask secondary battery, because you know they don't have anything else to do.
Let's say professional.
Okay, all right, okay. We would ask secondary battery, those fine
fine
sailors.
folks in the secondary battery.
That's right.
We have a tracking radar that goes automatically. If we lock onto the target, wherever it goes, we can automatically get the signal. We'll get range, elevation, and train, and send that down to our computers, which sends it over to their computers, or however the switches are all lined up.
Yeah.
But we all work together.
So we would call what's called ballistic wind. So think about if you're having to shoot up 35,000 feet in your apogee, there may be, as you're going through those different layers, there's going to be wind speed that's going to change, and even directions. So think about the jet stream. So back in the original, World War II, they didn't take into account ballistic wind. They weren't launching weather balloons or anything like that. They would just shoot and then make their correction in what you call the spotting as it comes on. When we started doing ballistic wind calculations in the 80s, that allowed us to have a more accurate first round on target, because we knew that. And believe it or not, you would think, well, how much is the wind going to affect a 1,900-pound projectile going through there? But it's going to, as it rotates, it's going to affect that. So you would put in the fire control solution. You would put in where the wind is. So let's just say that we've got wind going in 4 different directions. As it goes through that, you would have to do some calculation and we had some truth tables to help us with that, which would then say, okay, this level, it's this speed. In this direction, your ballistic wind is this, and it basically took all those calculations and averaged them all out to what it would be in. So you would enter in your wind direction over there. I don't remember where we did wind direction. It was probably over here. Oops, not that one, Adam. That's initial velocity. We don't want that.
This one says don't touch.
Don't touch. Yeah, that was it's been 30 years, so I don't remember, but I just touched it because, but anyways, regardless, one of these knobs, we would be able to put in the true wind direction there, and it would tell us. In this case, it looks like we're at 250 is what we're saying our true wind is. And then
here, that's true wind. Okay,
right,
got it.
That's what would be there. You would then put in any type of, here's where you put in your wind speed, right? 15 knots. So I think that's, right here. Hey, I still remember that. So now we move it up to 20. And as this thing was operating, these things would be rotating and move.
On their own?
Yeah. This whole thing would sound like a washing machine when it was running. All those gears in there growling at you. But it was computing the solution. So once you had basically this was where it would tell you where your range is, where it would come in from the solution, it'd say that. So those are important things that you would need to know. And I think this is how we adjusted range. Yeah, right there. Still got it. And if you were working, you can see how your present range is moving there. Again, if this was a digital system with no power on, and we couldn't do this, right? This is an analog system that is actually right now computing the gunfire control solution, whatever it is. So it's all gears, all cams, all that stuff. If the Mark 48 was configured to provide the input in here, you'd flip this over into auto, and it would grab all those inputs right from the 48. So then that was more of synchros and servos. There's a lot of gears in there, but not as many in here. So we would always keep that out. In the morning, this is an important button right here. So when you would actually, the Mark 41 operator over there would shoot, what we would do here is as soon as it shot, you'd press that down like that, and that's what's called the time of flight indicator. So this would go off 5 seconds before the round is going to impact. There would be an audible alarm like that. It'll go off. And then what you would do is then you would communicate to your spotter over your circuit. You'd say splash. That would give the spotter a heads up that he needs to look up and the round's coming in, so he could then, he or she in this case, could then make the correction. Say, okay, you missed by this much. So make your corrections that way. And what the spotter would do is they would say, left 200, add 100. And what that would be is that would be where it landed. So a lot of times there would be a confusion there. Is that what I need to do to make sure that the next round is where he wants it to be? Or it could be opposite. So what you would do is you would have to have some prearranged communication with that spotter, let him know he's just going to be marking where it landed. And then you would then go in and then put in his, so if we said left 200, you might want to add right 400 to get it on target.
What are the 200 and 400?
Meters. Meters, yeah, always in meters. So that's how that would work. So that was the important thing there.